celebrating all things 25 years since the Sydney 2000 Olympics. It's hard to say those words out loud and think it has been that long since those magical 16 days in September in the year 2000. And I am so honoured today to be joined by one of the face of those games in Australia. Together with Kerry Podhast, delivered a memorable gold medal on the beaches of Bondi to win a gold, Australia's only ever gold medal in the sport of volleyball. Added to a bronze medal she won with Kerry in Atlanta, this athlete also went on to become a 5-time Olympian, the first female ever in Australian history to achieve that goal, and an absolutely stellar career and a true honour to welcome to Off the Podium, the one, the only, Natalie Cook. Nat, welcome to Off the Podium.
Yay! Thank you, Ben. Pleasure to be here.
It's such a pleasure to have you on. We had Kerry on several years ago, and at the time she was our very first ever volleyball guest, beach or indoor at the time. We've gone on to have several others since. And I just was re-listening to her chat before this one, Nat, to kind of just refresh my memory and everything. And the thing that really struck me with hearing her story is just the level of pride and passion and everything that she was recalling from that time in Sydney all those years ago. It's been now a few years since that interview, and we're approaching that 25-year mark. I mean, when you hear the words 25 years since Sydney, do you still feel that level, though, of pride and passion, and take you back all the way to September 2000 to think about that memorable 16 days of your life?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a long time. And when I think about that, I'm 50 this year. So it was half my life ago.
Wow.
And to think that there were so many Aussies that were infected by what Rupert McCall, the famous poet, called green and gold malaria, to be part of that pride and passion and one of the 16 Olympic gold medals from that time. Yeah, it's super special. I can still feel the sand between my toes and the wind on my skin when I close my eyes, and I know exactly where my parents and my friends were in the stadium. And when, Kerry and I celebrate every year. So this is number 25, and we will celebrate in style. We are actually gathering at Bondi,
right,
and we have friends and family going down to the beach, and they will have to listen to us talking about how great we are again every September.
That's what we should always do every year anyway. I think that's a perfect opportunity to do that. But I love hearing that, and I love the fact that, we're obviously recording this about a month or so away from the anniversary, but, to hear that there are these plans for certain things. We saw that a few years ago for the 20th anniversary, didn't we? A lot of the athletes from Sydney shared their stories and everything. But, 25 years, I don't believe you're 50. Now, can I just say that straight away? I do not believe that for an instance you say that. I think you're lying to me. Come on.
Too kind, Ben, too kind. Born in 75, so yes, that absolutely enables easy calculations for me to be halfway. Well, apparently, the 100's the goal, and in cricket, that's where you raise your bat and tip your hat, and I figure we can do that at the 50 as well. So
yeah,
no, I'm super excited for what not only celebrating 25 years, and the whole Olympic team have been invited to go to Sydney, have lunch together. I don't know how many are going, so that will be interesting. And really celebrate what it did, not only for Sydney, but for the whole of Australia, and for that next generation of inspiration. Of course, we have athletes coming through now that were inspired by Sydney 2000, as I was inspired by the Commonwealth Games in 1982 in Brisbane. So they're all getting excited about Brisbane 2032, and it just shows how important these iconic milestones and events are for people, not only the athletes, but for volunteers, for workers, for people that said Sydney, it was the best time ever. And we're hoping that we can recreate that and more in Brisbane.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, 1982, because, generally as part of the interview, Nat, we sit down, we go through how did you get in the sport, take through your journey, but obviously we're not going to go to the lengths we usually do. But I love those stories where you've said about 1982, seeing Lisa Curry win the medals, and sort of that inspired you to push towards your own careers and everything along those lines. But the one I wanted to ask you about, I saw an interview that you did where you talked about getting into volleyball, and that this necessarily wasn't a passion or something that you were good at, that you kind of almost challenged yourself to love it and be good at it. So could you share that story with us? Because I love hearing that story that you told about that.
Yeah, when you talk to most athletes, they either started really young and fell in love with the sport, or because you start young, you're really good at it. Volleyball is one of those sports where most people step into their own in high school, so not so much as a younger person. And I was playing everything from BMX, swimming, skateboarding, taekwondo, netball, athletics. I did every single athletics event in the carnival, from the 100 to the cross country to the steeplechase, the javelin, the shot put, the discus, the hammer, every single event the PE teacher would make me do. And then I still wasn't. I played golf with the great Kari Webb.
Oh,
I played basketball, netball, and even a sport called Vigoro, because we couldn't play cricket as a girl. So have a look up of Vigoro. So everything was being played, and I was pretty good. I was one of those sporty spices that everything I picked up I could do, except volleyball. It was by the time I got through the alphabet to V, it was the only sport that almost gave me nightmares about why would you try and work so hard to focus to get the ball to go forward and it'd go sideways. I don't know if you had that experience in grade 8 volleyball, but
I could barely touch the ball, Nat, trust me. I was a bit worse than that.
The harder you focus, I'd go, okay, next time, I'm going to get it next time. And I'd focus and it'd go the other way. And then it'd go behind your head. And I'd look around and everybody had the same experience. So it enabled me to go to bed at night and try and work out how I could arm wrestle this sport and try and get better at it. Now, ultimately, 25 years of trying to master this sport, and along the way, Kerry and I got really quite good at it. But volleyball was chosen because there was a notice on the school notice board that said volleyball trip to Canada and America. And all I read, Ben, was the word Disneyland. So it doesn't even have to be literal. It just has to be somewhere in the periphery. And so Disneyland and trying to master a sport that nobody could do was how I got myself into it.
So basically we have to thank Mickey Mouse for that gold medal on the 25th of September 2000, essentially, is what you're saying.
Absolutely. And I think he's about 50 years old too. Yeah. So we're...
Go on, keep pushing that way. What an incredible story! Because I love that passion and drive. Obviously being so sporty. Because it sounded like you just were trying everything to get to an Olympics. Outside of netball, pretty much everything you touched on there was an Olympic sport. So, was that the desire to get to an Olympic Games in one of those sports?
Yeah, when I was sitting on the floor in my Townsville home watching Lisa Curry win the 100 metres freestyle in the 1982 Commonwealth Games, I sort of pointed at the TV and said to my mum, I want to do that. Now, I was an infant. I was a swimmer at that stage. Mum was an infant swim teacher and Dad played semi-professional soccer for Crystal Palace. So I was sort of in a space where I could have ended up as a good athlete just because of the genes. They were not by no means pushy, and they let me play every single sport, water polo. Soccer was the only one where Dad said, actually, please let your brother play that one and can you move on to something else? So I did. I didn't play soccer for very long, but they were very supportive and I couldn't have done it without them. And I knew that at the age of 8 I wanted to go to a big, obviously watching the Com Games. I didn't know the Olympic Com Games distinction, but I wanted to go to an international event, wear the green and gold tracksuit, sing Advance Australia Fair on top of the podium and have this medal around my neck. And that was I was 8 years old, and then some 17 years later it came to fruition. So it doesn't happen overnight, but if you dream for long enough and put in the work and surround yourself with the right people and stay committed, then it can happen.
How did you go on that high school trip, and how did you find Disneyland? I've got to ask that.
Well, Disney, happiest place on earth, Disneyland, and I agree. I was in Paris last year for the 2024 Olympics, and we went to Disneyland, and every time we're near Disneyland, we have to go to Disneyland. So my daughter is now loving that opportunity as well, and she's been to Orlando, Anaheim, Paris. So we get around and we like to follow the Disneys. So that was an amazing experience. I loved it, clearly, because I've continued. And then the volleyball, we didn't really play many games. We went to baseball at Anaheim and watched the LA Angels at the time.
Yep.
We went to basketball games, and I fell in love with that whole bigness, I guess, the grandiose nature of
American style, yeah.
American style. supersizing everything. This is big, traveling the world, and volleyball happened to be the sport that was married into that. And the fact that I wasn't good at it, I think, as we've talked about, was the fuel to see how I could get better at it.
I would love to hear the story. This is sort of an interesting one, given that we're celebrating 25 years. A couple of years ago, we celebrated the 30th anniversary of Sydney being awarded the Games. So I'd like to hear, where were you when Sydney got awarded the Games? I know when we talked to Kerry, I think from around that period, you two had sort of paired up about that period of time. Obviously, beach volleyball had been included in for Atlanta, so you're focusing on 1996. But where were you when Sydney got awarded the Olympics? And did that sort of lit a bit of a spark in your brain thinking, well, beach volleyball is an Olympic sport now, let's think about Sydney. I could be at a home Olympics, just like Lisa was back at a home Commonwealth Games in 82.
Well, I was an 18-year-old, and ironically, we're recording this now with 7 years to go to Brisbane, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
it is a real thing for, depending on your sport, because obviously skateboarders can be really young, divers and some swimmers are younger, through to an Andrew Hoy moment where you can go to 8 Olympics and you can be in your 60s, right? So if we take as an 18-year-old, so I was 18, and when they announced Juan Antonio Samaranch said, the winner is Sydney. And I thought this was just the greatest opportunity. I had dreams of maybe I could be lucky enough to go to the Games. But remember, at that point, I just started playing or was in my indoor career. I'd only been going 4 years. Beach volleyball was sort of considered like backyard cricket, a little bit of a side, go down the beach and have fun. It wasn't really that serious until the same year they announced beach volleyball to go to Atlanta for the first time in the Olympics. So winning the bronze medal in Atlanta was the first ever Olympic medals issued, and that was pretty special. So I was playing indoor volleyball. I was part of a team of 12, and I was a junior playing in, when you go all day to Mount Gravatt, to the QE2 Stadium, which happened to be the opening ceremony venue for 82 Commonwealth Games. So it was all sort of nostalgic. And I would play there all day Sunday in the under-19s, the reserve grade, the A grade volleyball, indoor volleyball. And I wasn't playing beach at the time, so, Kerry never had the best memory, Ben. So whether she got it out of whack or whether she says
she approached you. I was going to get a clarification here around how the meeting came about.
Yeah, well, we'll let her have that one. But we were playing against each other ultimately. Wow. And beach volleyball, like I said, it was fun in the sand, and we had been playing against each other because I'd been scouted by Anita Palm, who was the number one player at the time, and Kerry had had an injury, and she was slowly coming back through beach volleyball. She thought the sand might have been softer on the knee recovery. And then we were playing against each other, and then at some point we looked across the net and thought, hey, maybe it'd be better on my side of the net and we could do this thing together. Wow. So that's about 94. Okay. We started the look towards the 1996 Olympics, and we were together all the way through to Sydney and had a wonderful career together.
The lead up to Sydney, and I'm sure people of a certain age will all remember the controversy around Bondi and all the local backlash and everything that was sort of coming up around that. Do you pay much attention to that noise at the time? I mean, were you advocating a lot to be playing on Bondi, or was it more about focusing on your performance and leading into those Olympics rather than everything was sort of happening with all the local backlash about playing Olympic volleyball on the sands of Bondi?
Well, I can start the story by saying as a board member, I was a board member on the Brisbane 2032 organising committee for 3.5 years, and I've just finished my term up there because of a governance restructure. But I lead with that because I now know how much organisation and how much political jockeying there is to pull an Olympic Games into the city. So the Bondi we were told that's where it was going to be, and we were super excited that where else would you want to put the beach volleyball other than Bondi? And we'd played in Copacabana Beach, which was probably, and Californian beaches, and Bondi was even more iconic for us. So we thought this is great. Then we head overseas preparing. We didn't really get caught up in the controversy. We heard about it. we heard that people weren't happy about it, and we thought, well, that's a bit weird. Why wouldn't you be happy about it? And of course, it's going to block off beaches. It takes a long time to build. The surfers were worried about the sand, the sustainability, building a stadium on the beach. All of that was going on. We didn't really buy into it. We only know now in hindsight how amazing the games were on Bondi and how even the naysayers came round in the end, and they were the ones sort of cheering the loudest for us. But it is every decision to put on an Olympic and Paralympic Games is monumental. And you imagine that's just for the beach volleyball. Then you've got the swimming, the taekwondo, the BMX, everything else that goes with it, the opening ceremony, the medals, the villages. There is a lot of work to be done around the Games, and all our job was to hit the ball over the net and win the gold medal.
You did that pretty well, let's be honest. I mean, we just saw at the time of recording this, and literally in the last couple of days, the official Olympics channel on social media just shared a recap post of the beauty of Bondi, didn't they? And kind of showcasing just how stunning that stadium and everything. You look, and when I was living in Sydney, Nat, and I would go to Bondi, I would always just take those moments. It's the Olympic geek in me, what can I say? But I just felt like the Olympics were here, like volleyball was here, and sometimes you almost like look at it and go, how the bloody hell did they fit a stadium here? How did 10,000 people sit here and watch this? But I mean, it was a pretty extraordinary effort. I mean, fast forwarding a little bit to your time with Brisbane, I mean, are you then able to use sort of that and advocate wherever beach volleyball will end up and sort of you're pushing for this beach? Are you thinking more of logistics or iconic nature? Like what's the Queensland equivalent of Bondi, if you know what I mean, versus where would logistically be possible?
Yeah, for me, it's more of the iconic nature of the whole Games. To your point of an Olympic geek, I'm an Olympic geek. I'm across every sport. Because I played every sport, I have a genuine interest and connection emotionally and energetically to all sports. So it's not just about the beach volleyball, actually. That's at Broad Beach. That's where we have enough space. Spiritually, Coolangatta probably would have been nicer because that's where the Com Games was. You could start to build a story, but it's not big enough. So we're going to be at Broad Beach, which is going to be epic. But then that's easy for me. That's like tick, move on to how do we position all of our green and gold sports in iconic locations. And the new government here has moved a few sports. So like you're going to see archery in Maryborough, and therefore archery will become the icon, the jewel in the crown for Maryborough, and it will be, given welcome for that sport, which I'm pretty excited about for archery. I was lucky enough in London 2012 to go to watch Taylor Worth shoot at Lord's.
Yeah.
And so those are the iconic things we want to be able to, again, I'm an Olympic geek. I know about archery and Taylor Worth. So you kind of look a bit like Taylor too, Ben. You've got a doppelganger.
I take that as a sense of pride. We've had Taylor on the show. So, I mean, I need to get him back on and say this is what Nat Cook said. All right.
That's right. I think you could be his archery stunt double.
Okay. I'll take that. Thank you.
But yeah, I do. I mean, I encourage most of my advocacy is for the athlete from a grassroots level. The Taylor Worths, the Lauren Burnses who won a gold medal in Sydney in Taekwondo, those sports that people don't know a lot about and that aren't in the spotlight a lot. Swimming and athletics are our big cornerstone Olympic sports. And then all the others that come around from water polo, hockey. I mean, basketball's a big one too and is becoming bigger and bigger every day with the NBA and the NBL and the WNBL. So I just like to advocate for the smaller sports that people don't know much about, kite foiling, sailing, our sailors. And so that's what's fun for me and making sure that they get their time in the sun too.
You fit very well on this show, Nat, because two things I'll add on that. One of my personal favourite gold medals from Sydney, Simon Fairweather winning the archery gold medal. And congratulations to Simon. He's just won a silver medal at the World Games, by the way. In the last,
I did see that.
Like amazing. Still plugging along. And we, like, you'd want to talk about these smaller fringe sports that nobody talks about. We are the podcast that claims that we got Chloe Esposito the gold back in Rio because we were championing modern pentathlon on day one of Rio. And then we wake up like halfway through the games to like, we've just won a gold medal in modern pentathlon. And then Chloe becomes like the queen of everything. So I'm all for it. We need to champion these smaller sports, don't we? Because I'm not taking away from the swimmers and the big name sports, of course, but still we're getting great success in all these other sports. And you're all Olympians and you're all Olympic gold medalists when you go on to win the gold, of course.
Yeah, and I do think that's important. So thank you for taking on those stories because they are special and the dedication required to not only receive your first green and gold tracksuit or your green and gold jersey, but then to go on and continue to dedicate your life. It is a full-time professional job for most of these athletes without being paid. So it often costs our athletes money. So when you don't get paid, there's no superannuation, and then you've got to pay often for your green and gold jersey in some of these sports on the pathways. Like cycling, we've just seen a young cyclist, Olivia, make her first national team, and her cycling suits are $500, and you can't just have one.
Yeah.
So, this is a thing that we do need to celebrate these athletes. We do need to give them the pathways and the channels for them to find ways to generate an income while they're pursuing their green and gold dreams, which we all benefit from their success because the pride in the jersey is so super special that we all want one. We all want to be able to be there cheering them on, and we need them to be successful on and off the court.
Did that ever get old to you, Nat? The 5 Olympics you went to, that day when you got the kit, that day when you get like the 10 bags filled with Aussie green and gold Olympic kit, did that ever get old, those 5 times you received it?
Never, ever got old. And maybe because it changes a little bit every time, you're looking for the changes. You're like, what do I get in my kit this time? What does a bag look like? What does the swimsuits look and feel like? But you're so proud. As soon as you put it on, you do stand taller, you jump higher. You're representing not only yourself and Kerry or Nicole was my Athens partner and Tamsin, my Beijing and London partner, but you're representing your suburb, your city, your state, and your country. So you do tend to grow a little bit when you put your green and gold kit on.
Speaking of growing a bit, 110,000 people walking out into Stadium Australia on September 15th. Can that ever be topped in terms of just an experience like that? Not outside of your personal and athletic achievements, but like that must be one of the most incredible nights of your entire life.
Oh, so special. But I'll give you the context of, we had to fight to march in the opening ceremony. So one of the things as an athlete the 3 things, your own competition, being in the village and marching in the opening ceremony. There is nothing greater than those 3 honours. And because we were playing on Bondi the next day, there was sort of this unwritten law that if you played in the first 3 days of the opening ceremony in any of your competitions, you shouldn't march because it could exhaust you, it could tire you. And we ultimately, our coach Steve and Kerry and I had to put together a 20-page report to go to the officials to explain why we should march, because we believed marching would give us more energy and motivation and passion than sitting at home being depressed.
Yeah, wow.
Right? And we didn't march. It was this fine balance. So eventually we march, is the moral of the story. But because we'd been to an Olympics before in 96, we knew the first time, you can never get your first time back, Ben.
Mm-hmm.
So the first time in Atlanta, coming into that stadium was the most special. But then when you overlay that into Sydney, because it's a home crowd and you come in last.
Yeah.
And so you are there for a long time. And the fact that it had gone to Dawn Fraser and Shirley Strickland and coming into Kathy Freeman with the torch and watching that all happen was just the most magical opening ceremony we've been to. But it was only 2 of them. So it was Atlanta and Sydney, and then I didn't go to Athens. I didn't go to Beijing. Actually, I did go to London because I said this will be my last time, so I'm going to the London opening ceremony. But they changed the rules then, and they found ways to let you out early because we're A for Australia.
Mm-hmm.
We could get out early and get home. So as I got out, I ran past Serbia, S for Serbia, and guess who's there but Novak?
Oh, wow.
So little little selfie with Novak as I went home to get ready for our first game.
Pretty good way to get out. Wow, that's amazing. I mean, we had Anna Mears on recently, and she told a great story about Rio, how she's carrying the flag, and she's literally in the stadium for like 15 minutes, and she buggers off. She's done. Like, she didn't even get to experience anything else outside of doing a lap. But, I mean, you were, like, all 5 of your Olympics. Like, you obviously got to see 3 of the opening ceremonies, and I realise an athlete, you're not seeing the same opening ceremony as we are watching at home, of course, but they're all 5 pretty special opening ceremonies to be a part of. We like to call that the golden era of opening ceremonies, because I don't think you find much fault in those 5 ceremonies in a row. So pretty special ones to be part of either way.
Yeah, well, then you take Athens, where the home of the games.
Yeah.
So that was amazing. Well, we watched that on TV with Laurie Lawrence in the village.
That's all right.
Keeping us entertained. And you do dress up. You dress up in your gear. You see the buses off. You feel like you're part of it. You take some photos and watch it on TV. And then you go to Beijing, and the size and scale and precision. All I remember are the drums and the hundreds of drummers. And then Mr. Bean in London. Like, they're just iconic. And the pressure is on, well, the pressure's on Brisbane a little, coming off the back of LA, which I imagine will be very Hollywood.
Yep.
For us to really find our own sense up here in Queensland about how we're going to showcase Brisbane and Queensland to the world, not Australia, to the world.
Yeah, and we
pretty awesome.
Speaking before, when we said we were celebrating the 30 years of Sydney getting an out, we had Rick Birch on back in 3 years ago, and just to hear from him about how Sydney came together and everything along those lines, because I think one thing that we saw last year with Paris is it kind of, I think, reinvigorated the opening ceremony a bit. I mean, obviously, we'd had, COVID kind of stemmed a few things with Tokyo and Beijing. We realised that, but I think that kind of, it really put some wind in the sails, and all of a sudden we're excited for opening ceremonies again after I feel a couple of flat ones potentially there.
Well, the boldness of Paris to take it onto the river, and even the security overlay, and all of that for the athletes, but for the spectators. And we live near the Eiffel Tower because that's where the beach volleyball, which is the most iconic outside of Bondi, because I'll never say anything else was as iconic. But even the pictures, I think you cannot argue that the beach volleyball with the Eiffel Tower backdrop was the best venue in Paris. And then, so that was close to the river, and I had tickets to the opening ceremony to be with the locals standing by the river. Took my daughter Jordan, who was 9, and she loved all the theatrics and all of that on the screen, the boats coming past, Lady Gaga, the rain was even okay. They always want to complain about something. So whether it's rain or it didn't matter. You can drink in the rain, you can embrace the Olympic colours and the glamorous nature of a Lady Gaga and a Celine Dion making her return to the centre of the Eiffel Tower. Like, the most epic opening ceremony ever. And in fact, that they were that brazen and bold to take it out of the stadium. Go Paris.
Yep.
And I look forward to seeing what, I don't think we'll do the river, but I think we will try and be as bold.
Well, you had Celine Dion in Atlanta. We just did the Atlanta opening ceremony recently and forgot that Celine Dion was in that one too. So, she's popping up in a few. Well, it didn't do Vancouver, our own country's opening ceremony, but she did 2 outside of Canada. So I guess that counts.
It's often the case, Ben. The locals, we hear that Celine isn't as loved in Canada as she is in other places, and we hear that about Pink. Like, Pink is the most loved in Australia.
That's a great point.
So I'm putting my bid in for Pink to do something at our opening ceremony.
Pink
I don't know.
for Brisbane. That's a good one, actually, Nat. I like that. I haven't thought about that.
Imagine her flying through the air and
she's basically Australian. Let's be honest.
That's right.
She is.
We'll claim her.
My 2 that I'm really selling for Brisbane is reunion of Savage Garden. It's been a while since they've been together. Get them at their Brisbane boys. So there you go. But my idea for the cauldron, and I you've got some clout there. You've been involved with some people there in Brisbane. Is that we get Kieran Perkins, right? Great, iconic Queenslander. He's getting ready to light the flame, and he falls over. Everyone's like, oh no, he's fallen over. Kieran's down. But who comes up to sweep through, pick the flame up? Another great Queenslander, and Stephen Bradbury. I know he's winter, but still, it's technically a Winter Olympics in Queensland in 2032. He lights the cauldron. Iconic moment. Everybody cheers. What do you think about that?
I like it. Now, if we add Pink in halfway through that, flying through, if we add maybe Pink can fly through and pick Kieran up
Yes.
because as Queenslanders, we are there to uplift everybody. We're here for everyone. So we
Smart.
pick Kieran up, Pink, Kieran, and Bradbury, because we've got to have the female lens in there.
Yeah.
We've got to have that, you know.
Well, you're an
lighting the
iconic Queenslander. You
corner.
could be there also involved as well. Come on.
Great idea. I could be maybe the one pulling Pink up on the
Yes.
I could be belaying Pink.
Yes.
I could belay Pink.
Oh.
I think. And Ben, where can you go? Where would we put you in the new volunteers outfit or the new staffing outfit? And we'll put you.
I'm commentating for Channel 9. I'm hosting the coverage.
Perfect.
There you go.
Perfect.
I like this.
Well,
This
and that's,
workshopping.
That's right. I love encouraging everyone I talk to really try and invent and dream about how they want to be involved.
Yeah. No, it's
and work on how you got 7 years to work on how you put yourself in the Brisbane 2032 games, and we've just got you commentating. So
good.
congratulations!
Thank you. No, thank you. I think when we had Sally Pearson on, she'd mentioned that she was like we were going to team up by the time we got to Brisbane, so we get Sally involved. Like I'm all for it, Nat. Like we're going to push out there, and as I said, 7 years, plenty of time. So you know it's going that way. I got to ask, you pushed to get in the opening ceremony in Sydney. And you say it's going to help you. Did it help you the next day when you competed? Because Kerry said that you guys were like shitting yourself basically, and then you nearly lost that first match. So I don't know if it did help or basically what happened that next day then after the opening ceremony.
No, it did. We were so excited and hyped that when we got in there and we thought our shit didn't stink, we were so powerful. We had the green and gold on. We're playing Mexico, and we got this, and we got out to an amazing lead. And then all of a sudden, there's nothing better than when you make a great shot that 10,000 people cheer for you. So it's like, woo! And you think, yeah, how good am I? And then all of a sudden you hit one out. And the opposite effect when 10,000 people go, ooh, it's like buries you 10 foot deep and you got to climb your way out of the sand. So that's where we struggled. We struggled with the paradox or the dichotomy of roaring crowds and booing what you did wrong crowds. And that's what got us a bit in trouble. But we managed to get on and beat the Mexicans. And then Kerry might have told you, because it's one of her favourite stories, that we went into the village to find the psychologist to help us with our mindset and how you reframe the crowd. And they suggested we talk to Pat Rafter, who'd played in front of Aussie crowds, because he'd obviously won the US Open but hadn't won in Australia.
Yeah.
And he said it was a challenge because of that crowd going up and down and emotionally exhausting. But he really helped us understand how to use that to our advantage. And so Kerry became really focused, hyper-focused, like she was in a glass cone, like Maxwell Smart, like very silent. And I became the conductor of the orchestra. So I would get the crowd all excited, even so as soon as we hit it out and they wanted to go boo or oh, not really boo, they wanted to go oh, I would turn to them and just elevate like a conductor, just say, come on, and get their energy around to cheer for us.
Wow.
And so they're the two roles we took on after that. And once you understand the roller coaster of emotions, we got really good at it, and I think it helped us in the end to beat Brazil. And
was that also the wave of momentum then, that with every growing match when the crowd is starting to get amped up by that point, Australia, the entire country's on board, we're doing well overall in the medal tally, there's success everywhere, that by the time you get to, say, the semi-final stage against that Brazilian opponent, the same stage you'd reached 4 years earlier, that was what helped draw that level to get you one step further into the gold medal match.
Yeah, so after we shat ourselves day one, that was the next time we shat ourselves in the semi-final because that's where we'd lost 4 years. Now, remembering the Olympics every 4 years, it's not like an AFL or an NRL premiership every year. You get a chance to have another go. You wait 4 years. That is a long time, 4 years, Ben. So here we are again, 4 years, and I looked across the net and it was one of the same girls that beat us. She had switch partners. So it was one that had beaten us in the semi and one that had won the gold medal that we never got to play coming at us in the semi-final. Now we lose, we're back in the same position to go for bronze. We win, we're already doing better. So it was a very knife's edge match. The game started, I remember it so clearly, The Brazilian girl Sandra was serving. She was the gold medalist from 4 years earlier. She was one of the best servers in the world. Kerry was the best, but Sandra was probably second best server. She started the match with an ace down my line, 1-0. I'm like, okay. And we've been taught at this point, we worked on our what we call next. So you erase that, move into the next one. Don't take the baggage with you. She went back to serve. She aced Kerry down her sideline, 2-0. We haven't touched the ball yet.
Mm.
We took a breath. We're like, okay. Third one, straight down the middle, untouched, 3-0. So I look up to the sky and I call a timeout. I probably said a few words. We walk over to the timeout bench. We sit down. We kind of have a drink and we say a few words. I don't really remember. And the whole premise was we looked up to the sky and said, not today. This is not happening again, not on our beach. So remembering the score's 3-0, we won 15-6.
Wow. A 15-3 run. Wow.
15-3 run because it just kind of, I don't know what happened, but we dug our heels in and we knew that we weren't going to wait another 4 years, especially on our beach, for this to happen again, which would never happen again, ever, on Bondi Beach.
Because it's only a one-set game at that point, isn't it? It's not like now where it's like best of three, is it not? Like that was only a one-setter in the semis.
Yeah, one set. And you only got a point on your serve.
Yeah.
So they had changed the rules after Sydney.
Mm-hmm.
But what they did do for the final, so that you played that one set all the way through to the final. You get into the final and they say, actually, we're going to play a different format for the final because we want more TV time. You're going to play the best of 3 sets.
So did you not know that before the final? That was only sort of told you just beforehand.
We did know that, but we'd never trained for it.
Right. Okay.
It was one game ever in the history of beach volleyball where they changed the format, and so we didn't train for it. We just, when you understand momentum in a game to 15, you're only playing one set to 15, and all of a sudden we got best of 3 sets, first to 12, and you don't have to win by 2 anymore. It was completely different.
Wow.
And then we're playing another Brazilian team, which are the best in the world. We'd played them 17 times and only beaten them once, Ben.
Yeah.
And not many people know that, right? They don't know that we were the big underdogs. We were an outside chance of a medal. We knew we could do it because we'd worked so hard. But to the punter and the public, they're like, oh, go girls, good luck. For Brazil, volleyball and beach volleyball is their national sport because they say soccer's a religion, not a sport, and volleyball is their sport. And so it was a real uphill battle. We were the underdogs and we fought and managed to come over the top of them. Unexpected for them, totally expected for us in our vision board. In the last sort of 12 months, we really believed we could win this thing.
What was those 2 days in between the semi and the gold medal match? Because to take people back, this is also at a time when a certain female 400-meter runner was front and center of everybody's mindset in Australia. She obviously, Kathy Freeman is who I'm talking about, for those who might not be clicking on there with my clues. She wins the gold, obviously, the night that you win the gold as well. But was it because so many people were focusing on her and, that point that maybe there wasn't as many eyes on you two as well? Did you feel that there was maybe less pressure, if that makes sense, from an Australian perspective, because everybody was focusing on Kathy at that point and not you two?
Well, we didn't really know that at the time. We were so prepared for what was coming that wasn't part of our attention. However, the Olympic Committee had put us in a Catholic nunnery in Randwick.
So we had nunnery in Randwick. Wow.
we did not get the village experience, which is also why we fought for the march.
Fair
Remember,
enough.
I said
event,
village, march, and so we were getting sort of crossed out on everything. And so when we were in the nunnery in Randwick, because Homebush was too far away where the village was for the traffic, we made all the other teams sit in the traffic. This is where they went wrong. So the organising committee had prepared the Olympic cycling road race around Bondi and they'd closed the roads. So if we'd have stayed at the nunnery, we wouldn't have been able to physically get to Bondi.
Wow.
So in our day off, which was so September 23, that night, the women's water polo win for the first time ever.
Yep.
Super exciting. The next day, we have to move. We have to move. We've been in this accommodation for a month. We'd made it our home.
The nunnery.
The nunnery. They'd been praying for us, so they took blame on most of our results. And we had to pack a bag and move into, at the time it was called the Bondi Swiss Grand, across the road with the public. Like, we'd been in this bubble, and now we're in the regular hotel, like, trying to be like a rock star Pink, wearing glasses and running in and out of the hotel to get across the road to the venue. So we spent a good 24 hours recalibrating, resetting ourselves up to be ready to go to the match.
Wow.
Which was at 2:30 in the afternoon, ready for Catherine Freeman, 8 o'clock.
Yep.
So we won our medal at 4, and we were the 99th gold medal for Australia.
Yeah.
So if it wasn't for us, Ben, Kathy wouldn't have won the 100th.
Yep.
So we believe she owes us a lot of gratitude required.
Let's be honest, she does.
She does. Because we warmed everybody up.
Yeah.
We actually got the attention off Kathy onto us so that she could prepare.
Yep.
We won at 4 o'clock. She won at 8 o'clock. We were famous for 4 hours, and the rest is history.
It's so funny, Nat. I love that story about staying in a nunnery. Like, I feel like somebody needs to go there and put a plaque up going like, this is what built, Nat and Kerry to win that gold, right? They should get credit for that. But I was 13 during those games, and I remember sitting on my couch on that Monday afternoon, glued to watching you and Kerry win that gold. And I still remember that vibe of that day of everybody thinking about that night, but just being so damn excited watching you two win that. And the iconic commentary of, they have won the gold medal. And then just like the absolute silence that they left in the commentary to see you two celebrate and those scenes there. One thing I would love for you to share, I know you've told this story before, but I'm being selfish because I want you to tell it to me and also for our listeners. When Kerry's like bent down on that sand and she's got her head in the sand and you've come running over to her, what are you telling her at that point? What are you saying to her when 10,000 people are screaming once you've won that gold medal?
Well, we're very different personalities. She, as I just said before, more internal focused, and I was external focused. I wanted to see the crowd. I wanted to feel the crowd. I wanted it to not just be me in my head. I didn't want to go down my own thoughts. I wanted to get the energy from the crowd. So she collapsed. And she was saying, mumbling in the sand, I don't believe it, I don't believe it. And I was trying to pick her up saying, of course you do, you silly woman. We've been believing this for the last 12 months. It was a bit longer. We were building our belief with our success coach, Keurig Ashley, and it was layer upon layer. It didn't come easily because, like I said, we hadn't beaten this team very often. So there wasn't that historic belief, but it was an internal tsunami of, you can do this, like the little engine that could, you can. And we've been building that. So she collapsed. I can't believe it. I said, of course you can, you silly woman. She felt like this, the glass around her was breaking. And I was up orchestrating on the microphone, thanking every man and his dog, because I didn't sleep the night before because I was reciting our victory speech.
Oh, wow.
I was absolutely, and ironically, Kerry was doing the same, and we were laying there trying not to wake each other. We were both awake. And then for the first time in Olympic history, they handed me the microphone and I took it. The poor guy, John Fogarty, was trying to hang on to it, and I said, no, give me that thing. So I took it and he kept trying to get it off me, and I kept going around in circles. Because there were hundreds and hundreds of people to thank for the journey, because you never do it alone. So we'd recited our victory. And when you're at that level, that's where you have to get to. You have to be able to close your eyes and let your skills work it out. And you don't want to be focusing technically. You want to be, for us, wanted to be energetic. And it was about crossing the line first so that you could get the microphone to thank everyone for the amount of effort required to be there. So parties all round.
And did the moment of standing on that dais, gold medal around your neck, Advance Australia Fair, live up to young Nat Cook watching Lisa Curry all those years prior at Brisbane?
Oh, absolutely. Curic, our world record firewalking success coach, had told us to practice that moment over and over, which meant you had to have the words to Advance Australia Fair. You had to be proudly standing, like he wanted us to step onto something. And we were doing that literally over and over. And so when I got up onto the podium, Elisa Curry was crying, and I thought I might have cried, but I didn't cry till later because it was so euphoric. Stepped up onto the podium and thought, this is exactly what it looked like in my dream. And then started to bellow a very out of tune rendition of Advance Australia Fair, but it didn't matter. Kerry and I locked hands, medal in one hand, her hand in my other hand, little kangaroo under my armpit, and it was just the greatest time of my life. Still is to this day.
I won't tell your wife that on your wedding day, right? We can edit that bit out.
Or my daughter's birth, probably.
Yeah.
But that's all right. That's the top three. That's the podium.
Yeah, that's the podium. You got to have a podium.
Wedding, and daughter. And my podium.
And let's be honest, of all those moments, Nat, only one of them got you on a stamp. Now, for our video viewers, let's hold this up here to the camera there, if we can get that into focus. Not often you get to be in a stamp. I've also actually got some other props here. I don't often do this, but so I've recently moved house and I brought a bunch of my stuff with me. I've discovered I hoarded so much stuff from Sydney 2000. So the people who remember back in the day, newspapers, you used to have your daily lift out, right? You had the Olympian in the News Corp papers. I grew up in Tasmania, so this was from the Mercury. Of course, Kathy's on the front page. Skip through a few because, we're going to have Kathy and Tatiana and all the sort of the great moments that we had on that day. But then we get into the double page spread. There we are. Headlines, Guts Bring Glory on Golden Bondi. There we are, celebrating that.
Love it. It's a double page. You have to send me a picture of that because my best friend Shelley is holding up the Go Nat sign.
Yep, okay.
And it says, life's a beach, a ball, and 10,000 people.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how I remember it. And, it's in black and white, not in colour like
I know,
the
it's
front
interesting
page.
to see, isn't it? Like black and white.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
Black and white.
Yeah, it's even got here, we've got a little profile on you, but so our top two. Let's read here what we've got on Natalie Cook. Age 25, height 181 centimetres, born in Townsville, lives in Brisbane, a qualified physiotherapist, former captain of the Australian women's junior team, unwinds with golf, swimming and movies. That's a good one. Remains the youngest beach volleyball medalist after winning bronze in Atlanta. Lost 9 kilos between Atlanta and Sydney. That's apparently important enough to put in there. Bought a goldfish tank from a pet shop to use as a stand for her gold medal in the lead up to the competition. Is that true? You bought a goldfish tank?
Absolutely. So our success coach, Keurig, said, if you are dreaming of something as big as an Olympic gold medal, when you have to have something to put it in when you win it. So he made me design, I went through this design process and I worked out that if I turned a goldfish tank upside down, we made it hexagon.
Right.
And it had gold ribbon in it and it was on a base. And so it literally said Sydney 2000 gold medal. This was 2 or 3 years before.
Wow.
Right? So this is the piece. And it would sit there to remind me of all the work we were doing, that's where the gold medal would go. Now, ironically, it's never got in there because I take it
my next question.
Yeah. No, I showed to people want to see it. We still, and yes, because we're on a podcast, I usually have it here to show it into the screen, but.
Not today. Welcome back.
I did.
Oh,
I did.
Look at that.
Because now
it manifested itself, Nat. Look at that.
Look at this. I bought the medal for those watching online. And actually, because it's a 25-year anniversary, it is nice and shiny. It's been to the day spa. It's had a bit of a polish.
I was going to say it's remarkably shiny for something that's 25 years old. It got a bit of a work over, a once off. Wow.
It did. It got a bit of a zhuzh, so it's ready for the anniversary.
Please, for our video, for our audio, go to our video version right now because I'd never in my life have I thought I've had technical issues all of a sudden for an Olympic gold medal to appear. That's a pretty nice surprise to kind of pop up on that. So,
magic.
Yeah, I always love the Sydney 2000 medal. It's such a beautiful looking medal and the sort of the turquoise ribbon around it and just looking on that there too. Do you sort of do you like to have it on a display in terms of you're saying sort of like in your office, obviously people want to see it, but like those moments when you're not showing it off, is there sort of a modern fish tank that you like to kind of go, this is it? And does the Atlanta one go alongside of it as well?
Yeah, the Atlanta, ironically, it's in a sunglass case because it's nice and hard.
Yep.
And the Atlanta one's here too. So if you're looking along online. It's beautiful green and gold ribbon.
Do you like the Atlanta
and
one?
the detail is amazing. And in the right light, Ben, it actually looks gold.
I was going to say, it looks more gold right now. I think over time that's turned into gold. That counts. Yep.
I know, that's right. Alchemy.
Yeah,
alchemy.
Exactly.
So because I speak at functions all the time, so does Kerry. We're both speakers on stage. I make sure it's in my bag ready to go. So I put it in my Oakley sunglass case because Oakley were my supporter for 20 years. And it's hard. So if you're stealing my sunglasses, you'll probably get a shock and you'll get 2 Olympic medals. So they do both go along. Often it's interesting. Back in the old days, people didn't want to see the bronze, but these days they like the adversity. They like the story of from bronze to gold, and doesn't always go to plan. And sometimes you come third, right? Which is okay.
I often like. I mean, obviously we're here to celebrate 25 years, but like it's often like I'll use Stephen Bradbury as an example, right? We get him on the show, talk about. Everyone wants to talk about Salt Lake, but I brought up with him like. People seem to forget that you did win a bronze medal in 1994, right? Like there is another medal to the Stephen Bradbury story. So I think kind of like I'm always one where it's like fantastic, and no disrespect to the way I say this, you obviously talk a lot about that gold medal win, but there are obviously other stories to your career outside of this one moment that sort of has that. So I mean, plus the Atlanta medal is such a beautiful medal. That is a very beautiful Olympic medal.
Yeah, and I often, along the way to get to the Olympics, you've had to have won medals.
Yeah.
So athletes, sometimes I see or hear athletes say, oh, what have I got to talk about? I've never won a medal. And that is like heartbreaking because the story to become an Olympian is amazing. The pursuit, like the amazing Jane Saville, who was 100%. In her gold medal position, and someone decided to give her the red paddle for the 3rd time and disqualify her. So I encourage every athlete to bring along their favourite medal. Now, sometimes that is national titles, sometimes it's international world events. And for my friend Cedric Dubler, who's a 2-time Olympian decathlete, he won a medal from the Australian Olympic Committee called the Cecil Healy Award for sportsmanship.
Yep.
And that's the medal he takes. I always want athletes to take props, to take something, whether it's newspaper clippings, stamps, to be able to show the next generation of one of the purposes of why we do what we do. It's important for the journey. You've got your amazing Sydney 2000 shirt on, and it's special.
It is.
It absolutely special.
Well, it's funny, like, I mean, speaking of props, like, it was actually like a real trip down memory lane opening these boxes up and finding all the rent. Like, back when you'd get like pins in the newspapers, like it's a real celebration. I'm hoping Brisbane will achieve that as well. But like, I even found like I've got the winners Sydney 2000 Olympic Games little book here, and there you guys are on the beach volleyball page next to volleyball. And then one of my favorite, I remember as a kid for Christmas, all I wanted was this book, and I'm sure you've got it. The lovely official souvenir book that they release afterwards. And there you guys are, of course, on the volleyball page. For our audio listeners, please check out our video one here to see this and the lovely double-page spread there. Because even when I was in Paris last year, I bought books. They were all in French. I'll never be able to understand them. But, like, it's just the lead up to the Olympics, and I'm a souvenir hoarder, Nat. Like, I'm Brisbane, I'm going to already be buying stuff tomorrow as soon as they release it. So, but it's those little things, right? Those little things that, as you were saying, you can share alongside the medals because it's all part of that journey, essentially.
And the fridge mascot from Paris above your head there is really important.
Can you see Izzy? Can you just see Izzy there from Atlanta, who's my favourite mascot, just hiding there? So,
yeah, look at that.
And I've already got...
and of course...
Yeah. Milo from Milan next year as well, so yeah.
And we're so excited, Ben. We keep talking over each other. We love the Olympics so much. It's super cool. But the Sydney mascots, we had 3. Yeah. We had Sid, Millie and Ollie. And then, of course, what's Brisbane going to do, right?
Can we make Fatso? Can Fatso finally come full circle and be the official mascot? Like, do you think Roy and HC will let him go to actually be the official mascot for Brisbane?
Well, unfortunately or fortunately, Ben, whichever way you look at it, I don't know that it's appropriate anymore in the language. The inclusive language is not. But I do have a Fatso pen. It does sit beside some of my iconic memorabilia, and I'm very proud of being on Roy and HG twice.
Yeah, in Athens too. I mean, these are
3 times actually.
3 times.
3 times. The Atlanta, Sydney, and Athens Dream.
That's right, yeah, because they did that lead-in one to Sydney as well. What was that? Club Buggery or something? Was that what it was called back in
Club
the day?
Buggery?
Yeah, that was right. Yeah, God, good times. I mean, like, just fast-forwarding then, obviously, post-Olympic career, you sort of get involved a lot more in administration. You're on, I think, the World Olympians Foundation, if I'm not mistaken, obviously involved in Brisbane 2032. Was this always, like, something that you'd sort of wanted to use that passion that you have for the Olympics and your career and everything to kind of give back a little bit more? Sort of what drew you into that side of life after you hung up the bikini, I guess, the ball? Like, what do you hang up in beach volleyball?
The bikini.
The bikini.
Yes, definitely the bikini. Kerry went into more coaching and commentary, and I went into more strategy and all sports and not so much just beach volleyball. And I'd been in the sun enough, so there was never going to be coaching, or I was helping Maria Fay and Taliqua as a mentor for a little while. And so then I went into leadership, speaking, and realised at this point in my role with Brisbane 2032, just finishing, the last few years, my legacy project for 32 is the Aussie Athlete Fund, which is a fund to help athletes that can't afford the green and gold journey. So they get chosen to represent Australia. And there's been so many costs in that, and we talked about it a little bit earlier. And then all of a sudden the costs escalate, because to represent Australia, 99% of the time you've got to travel overseas. And those costs are not borne 100% from the sport. You have to pay your own way most of the time. When you get chosen for an Olympic team, the Olympic Committee pay for you to go to the Olympics for that event only. So all the way in the lead up, you've got to fund your own journey and piece it all together. And if you do get some from the Australian Institute of Sport, it's not enough to cover the whole thing. So this Aussie Athlete Fund is to set up ways to help educate, inspire, teach, provide networks for our athletes to fundraise, and so that they can follow their sporting dreams. Because then too, when you're not earning an income because you've focused on your sport, there's no superannuation.
Yeah.
So there's so many flaws in the system. I'm helping to try and change the system for that, and in the process, raise some money for our next gen in the green and gold.
And tracking well with that, like everything sort of going well with that at the time we're talking at least now?
Absolutely. People want to help. They want to help the athletes directly. That's what we provide, direct athlete support. And so they come to us and they say, look, we would really like to help. I used to be a javelin thrower, or I played water polo, and I'd love to help some younger athletes in the not popular sports. So we facilitate all of that, and and the athletes are learning how to sell themselves with their storytelling. The first project they have to do is go to the local fruit store and get a free box of fruit.
Right.
Which means they've got to be brave enough to ask. They've got to learn to tell their story and their dream and get more support around them. So that's what we do, and that's what I'm loving, helping this next gen tell their story.
And can people donate? Like if people listening or watching want to donate and help out, is there a website? Can people check it out at all?
Absolutely. AussieAthleteFund.com. There's a big donate now button in the corner. You can see all of the athletes we support. You can actually go to the athletes page on our site and support the athlete directly. We've got some Winter Olympians we're supporting at the moment.
That's good.
Bobsled Bree.
Oh, yes. We love Bree.
We've got para snowboarder Ben Tudhope.
Yep.
Our curling team.
Dean and Tarly. Oh, we love Dean and Tarly. They're our good friends. Yes, good to hear. We love the winter athletes here, Nat. All good.
We love the winters.
Yep.
So we support all athletes in the green and gold, and we encourage you to do the same.
Well, we keep advocating on this show that Brisbane 2032 technically a Winter Olympics because it's in our winter. So, like, if we want to add bobsled to those Olympics, you know, Bree could be in a home, like curling could be there. Just saying, technically Winter Olympics. So, you know.
Well, we do have a ski jump.
Mm-hmm.
We do have the ski jump into the pool, which would be a new one. We could do the bobsled and the skeleton down Mount Cootha.
Hey.
I'm liking putting down, Ben. I think we could carve out a track.
Hey, got to get it out there, Nat. It's just, I'm thinking outside the box to help some of these winter athletes out there. Before we wrap it up with our 10 get to know you questions, the one thing I wanted to touch on, obviously, you're no longer on the board with Brisbane, but the one thing that I want to find out, like, with all the talk and all the stuff that's happened around Brisbane, are you hopeful that we're going to hit that period that we did in the lead up to Sydney when everybody just shut up and realised how exciting this is? That like the whole country kind of really stepped up and soaked in the atmosphere, because we are in that very unique part where for most of us, we are living in a period where we get to see 2 Olympics in our own country in a lifetime. You know, it's a rare thing to see. So are you hopeful that we're just going to shut up eventually, most of us non-Olympic geeks, and go, yeah, we're going to Olympics, get excited, they're in our backyard again?
Well, with advocates like you, yes, Ben.
Good.
I hope it doesn't take all the way up to the opening ceremony for that to happen. I hope it can happen, you know, maybe 12 months out would be a great start, if not before. I mean, you and I are Olympic geeks and we're going for 7 years. But at least when we do our 1 year to go, we want everyone singing from the same sheet, and we want everyone celebrating Brisbane, the Gold Coast, the Sunshine Coast, Townsville, Cairns, Mackay, Maryborough, Rocky, Toowoomba, all of our Olympic cities and Paralympic cities that can come to life. And really, a rising tide needs to raise all ships, and we need to be able to celebrate this together. So, Aussie, Aussie, Aussie.
Oi. That was rising. Like I'd use that more. I like that. That's fantastic.
Go for it. No charge, Ben.
Okay.
No charge.
That's why we get you on the show, Nat, to kind of get free shit. That's what we do. We close out every chat. 10 standard questions. Now, Kerry got different ones because back then we didn't have the same standard 10 ones. We've developed as a show now. So these are 10 fun, get to know you ones that we hope will enlighten you in life and you'll leave with a smile. I don't know where I'm going with that. Anyway, the one thing that you never left home without when you travelled to a competition, Nat, what was it? Bikini. Did you have the lucky, was there a lucky bikini that served you well in your career?
No, I wasn't too superstitious, so all bikinis were lucky, Ben. That's how we win. It's all a mindset.
That's true. I like that. Did you have a traditional superstition you followed before every big competition?
That's a long pause, so the answer must be no. I did for a while think I had to eat a certain thing, like I had to have scrambled eggs for breakfast, but then I got to a competition that didn't have scrambled eggs, so I had to find a new tradition. So no. Okay, all right. I mean, did you then just have different breakfasts basically because you realised that the scrambled eggs weren't lucky? Whatever's available, and ultimately the psychologists and the success coaches talk about control the controllables, so you can't force anything. We tried to get eggs in France once, and it took them 2 days to bring the eggs down. What do you mean you want eggs? They usually serve croissants and ham and cheese. Yep. And then we got a bowl of eggs, but they hadn't cooked them. So we go to crack them and then they're raw. So then we had to teach them how to cook boil the eggs. So no, you don't get too attached to anything. You got to be flexible and adaptable. So no superstitions.
All right, I like that. I don't know if this then relates into the next question. Did you have a song that was on every one of your pre-competition playlists that really sort of got you pumped up for a competition?
Tina Turner, Simply the Best, and that was before the NRL stole it for the theme song.
That's right, they did, didn't they? Dirty.
It did.
Come on. That was a great song, though. Amazing. Did you see the stage production of that ever, the Tina show? It was, I think it was in Sydney a little while ago, but it's a great show if you've never seen it.
But I'd love to. I should see that.
Yeah, no, it's really, really good. Obviously, when you competed, social media wasn't really a thing. But you might be able to tie this into when you used to get the herograms or fan mail or something like that. The most unexpected or funny DM or I guess fan message that you ever got as an Olympian?
We would get lots of, back then they would colour in things and we would stick them on the walls. We would have the telegrams, and they made us a postcard, the Australian Olympic Committee, so that we could reply to them. Mm-hmm. Now, that's fine when you get a dozen, but in the Atlanta Olympics, I got 859 messages, and my dad helped me reply to every single one of them with this postcard.
Wow.
And so not one stands out, but that games as a whole stands out because of the amount. And that's how special the games are for people. So, yeah, you're right. Now they go into DMs and not many colour-ins. We still encourage school kids to do colour-ins to decorate the village for the athletes. So yeah, maybe we should have a colouring competition for adults too.
Bring it, yeah, absolutely. 'Cause you got all those adult colouring books. It's a thing. So why can't we have it? But
Yeah.
I miss the Herogram day. What were they like? The Telstra Herogram. Here's your thing. I would always be doing that. And even when we started this pod back for Rio, they even had like the fan wall. We used to have fun every day reading out the more obscure like fan messages like, "Hi Nat, I went to school with your brother. Lol, go for gold." Like it was just random. But like bring those back. They were always so fun.
They are fun. I think we could. We should do that for Brisbane.
Yeah, you're getting a lot of free stuff out of me today too, Nat, so you're welcome as well. Weirdest thing that you ever ate at an international competition, and did you like it?
In Beijing,
Mm-hmm.
there was like, for breakfast, they had jelly, coloured jelly, which was already weird. But inside it had a worm. So it was called worm jelly.
Oh.
The translation, worm jelly. And it wouldn't have been my choice to eat it, but we did have a thing going where there was a bet and I lost the bet. So I had to eat the orange worm jelly.
Wow.
Weird texture. Didn't like it, but I feel like I got through.
And you'll be able to tell that story on a podcast 17 years later. So, that's why you do it, to tell the stories right. I mean, on the good side of food things, what was your guilty pleasure meal that you would always eat after a big competition?
Hot chips.
Oh, yes.
The hot chips. I was a connoisseur of the hot chip. I would make notes on where to get the good ones. I do not like the very thin shoestring fry. I do not like the fat wedge. I like the just right chip in the middle.
Where's your ultimate chip? Like if you crave, what is the one perfect chip you've ever had?
I do like the Nando's chip.
Oh, they're good chips.
And then the grilled chip came out it's got a little bit of a posh seasoning on it, you know, with those posh spices rather than just chicken salt.
Yep.
So yeah, I do love a grilled chip or a Nando's chip.
Okay. Did the nunnery give you chips, or were you just not eating chips during the competition?
No, there was no chips at the nunnery. They did iron the handkerchiefs and they did cheer for us with a bit of an Aussie as we went out to the opening ceremony.
That's nice, at least. That's okay. That beats the chips there, let's be honest. If you could swap sports for a day, Nat, with another Olympian, what event would you choose and how do you think you'd go?
I would choose golf.
Okay, yep.
My second sport, golf. Early on, the top of the show, I played with Kari in the beginning and I was really excited that maybe Kari was going to go to the Rio Olympics when golf was put back in.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, she missed out by one spot and that was devastating because I was looking to go and support Kari, but she became the captain of the Olympic golf team. So we got to walk around Paris golf course together and she commentated privately for me as we watched Hannah Green and Minjee.
Wow.
So that was pretty special. So I would have been a golfer if beach volleyball didn't come along and frustrate the crap out of me then.
That's a nice way of putting it. Did you beat Kari back in the day? Like could have you gone that path?
No, in my brain I probably did. I mean, back then we were juniors and I could beat her on a hole. So I'll take that.
That counts. Take it. I definitely take one. I love this next one. We always have fun with this one. If your Olympic journey were a movie, what would the title be and who would play you? And I've got some ones here for this if you don't have some answers.
So my favourite movies.
No, if your career was a movie, what would it be called, do you think? We've got some assistance here if you need some help at all.
Okay. Well, I'm going off Rocky. I would call it Nat, off the Rocky movie. And Alan DeGeneres would play me.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I often have people yelling at me down the street, Alan.
Wow.
Or Kerry. They think I'm Kerry, so one of the two.
One of the two. They haven't put. So I've got. I go to ChatGPT to give me some suggestions, and I ask who do they think they could play. They haven't put Ellen, but a few here that I thought were okay. Robin Wright, Charlize Theron, Ronda Rousey, Kate Winslet, Naomi Watts. These are some names that they've put out there. Hilary Swank. That one's an.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I see that one.
She's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all tough. Rhonda's tough.
Yeah.
That getting the tough vibe is that, but then Kate and some of those other good-looking ones, probably not so much.
Robin Wright's got
But,
that sort of toughness when she was in House of Cards, right? She was she Wonder Woman's auntie, wasn't she, in the Wonder Woman films from memory? So there you go. There's that one. I like just Nat. Like, I think we can just go with Nat. The one I so they've suggested some titles here. The one I chose here, they chose Golden Serve. And again, for our audio viewers, tune into our video one because I got them to generate a movie poster, Nat. This is honestly maybe one of the favorite ones we've ever had done on this. Check out that one. Golden Serve, A Legend is Born. Check that one out.
Look at my muscles.
I know, right?
Wow.
You are packing.
Yeah, it's got me in a rowing zoot suit. Didn't really pick up the bikini vibe, but I love it.
I know, right? That's pretty awesome. Maybe we just change that title just to Nat, A Legend is Born, and then that tops up. That's brilliant. I like that one. It's one of the favorite ones we've had. Two more. These ones are sort of a deepish ones that I like to end it on. So the one question that you're tired of being asked, and what is the one that you wish people would ask you instead?
So I'm tired of being asked, do you commentate? Because I think every athlete goes into commentary. There's not many jobs for that, but also beach volleyball usually happens once every 4 years. So I would like to be asked instead of that is what career did you choose after? And it's pretty hard to come down off being an Olympian, right? So what did you pick to do in the next chapter after an Olympian?
Great question. There you go. People can this way advice. People listening and watching this. That's what they'll ask you moving forward. The last one. This is the deep one. This brings out great answers. What is one lesson you learnt from losing that you think shaped you more than winning?
The lesson is the reflection. And what we used to have a kind of a throwaway fun line that said, winners have parties and losers have meetings. So if you win too many times and just have parties and celebrate and drink and not think about, well, how do you win next time?
Yeah.
That is actually quite deep because losers go back to the drawing board to try and work out what they could do better or where they could make some improvements, whereas winners just keep high-fiving each other and saying, yeah, how good are we? And all of a sudden, bang, you're hit in the face by Ronda Rousey. And then that would, that's not that good.
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
I like it. That's why we asked that last. We keep saying it, Nat. We ask it last because that brings out those answers. It comes on a nice little bow. We appreciate that. Nat, it has just been an absolute honour to hear from you, your stories, your incredible career, everything, the legacy of Sydney 2000, obviously, that we're here celebrating 25 years of this month. So we really do appreciate your time and best of luck. And I'll be cheering you on as you get lifted up. We'll lift Pink up in that stadium in Brisbane, and I'll make sure that my commentary is extra special as she hands it off over to Kieran and then Bradbury.
Perfect. Well, that's what you can practice. I'll practice lifting Pink up. And I just want to say thanks for having me. What a pleasure to find another Olympic geek. And I'm just very disappointed that it's taken you 9 years to get me on the show. and for you to say that this has been going since 2016, I was like, what? It's taken you this long. Clearly, you've had Kathy Freeman on every week and you've missed out on Natalie Cook, but not anymore because there's a movie called Nat, A Legend is Born off the Back of Ben's show. So thanks for having me.